Here are some blob paint tips. Now the goal with blob paint is to get it as thick as possible so that when you turn it upside down, the paint is not running out of the bottle on its own. You want to have complete control of the paint. This painting here, I thought it was done, but I leaned it up against something and it got some marks on it. So I'm going over it with some white dots. See how controllable the paint is there? It's not coming out on its own. I have total control over it. Somebody's been reaching out lately asking for help. Wendy is her name. And some tips I gave her. Never add water to your recipe. If it gets too thick, you could put some more varnish in it. You should start out with thick paint, like my go-to is Liquitex Basics. Just about my recipe that I posted before. I had to put some sort of ratio together as far as a video to make. It doesn't have to be precise. The paint and the Mod Podge are the two main ingredients. The varnish helps protect it in the end, but it also adds as the thinner in order to get it to the consistency that you need. If you take your stir stick and you grab some paint and you lift it up, it should flow off of the stir stick, and instead of coming down in clumps. If it's coming down in clumps, add more varnish, give it some stir. You just don't want it too thin. Another thing, I've seen a couple people do dot paintings. Here's where I rubbed something up against it right there. And I don't want to do it on my painting, but here, I'll do it up here. But they touch the bottle tip and draw their dots like this, or pushing it around like that. I never let the tip touch the canvas. It is above, and you just let it flow naturally. So I might put the tip in the paint itself, but it's never moved around to create that edge. I'm just letting the paint do all the work for me. And if you get a little, for lack of a better term, nipple on the end there, it'll go away. So the problem that Wendy was having is that the blobs would spread out and combine with other dots. So take this one for instance. The recipe wasn't right. It all ran together, but if you put a second layer of dots on them, it actually looks pretty cool when they're linked together like that. If you have your recipe too thin, it will spread fast and you won't have any control over it. So the thickness of the paint has to be as thick as you can get it while still being able to pour out. And so as you're putting your paint on the canvas, you have to anticipate that spreading, maybe do a couple test shots. Because if you look at this one, this is a really good recipe I've got here. It's barely spreading at all. It's staying very thick, and that's the way it should be all the time. Thanks for watching. Follow for more.